sat down and finished the first airing of RWBY, like the first 3 episodes of the RWBY anime that came out today. And just FYI, if you have not watched it yet, okay, and you have no idea what RWBY is about, like you have never watched the original, you haven't seen the anime yet, do not worry. You do not need to know anything about the OG. You don't need to know anything about the original. You can just dive right into this anime that came out today. Holy crap, it's good. Like, holy crap, it is freaking amazing. Like, that's literally what I want to say right now. Like, it's legit hype. Like, it's hype. It is so freaking hype. Like, Monty Oum, the original creator of RWBY, would be so proud. Like, if you know anything about Monty. Fantastic, fantastic person. I wish he was still here with us, but I know for a fact if he was, he truly would be proud of just the first 3 episodes that came out today. Just incredible. Just seriously, I wish I could show clips on videos, because obviously, you know, if I was to do that, I would get, you know, copyright striked. But on my social media, I recommend just check it out, and you'll be able to see the clip I post. And if you're really curious, like seriously, look at that clip. It's incredible. Like, oh my, I'll post a link in the description if you want to check it out. But anyways, let's talk about it. So, RWBY. First 3 episodes came out. It's an hour long, straight up. So, like, I'm not talking about, like, 40 minutes, because normally when, you know, they announce an hour-long episode, you know, usually it's just 40 minutes, because they're, you know, not counting for the ad time. So, basically, it's just cutting out the ads, basically 20-something minutes, and then it's, like, 40-something minutes of an anime episode. But no, this RWBY episode, which is 3 episodes put together, is an hour and 6 minutes of run length. Huge, absolutely huge in terms of content. And just FYI, okay, I want to make sure I reiterate this, because I keep seeing this question non-stop. Can you watch the RWBY anime without seeing the original? Yes, you can watch this anime. Do not worry, you're not missing out on anything. This is literally a remake. You don't need to know anything about the OG. Now, with that out of the way, there is a few things I need to talk about. For one, obviously, how does it look? How is it? I am an OG fan. I am someone that dropped off the RWBY series around volume 6, somewhere around in there. I stopped watching, and the reason for it is because the series just took a direction I wasn't the biggest fan of. However, there's conflicting things I've been seeing about the whole direction of this remake, that is going to be going down a different way and not strictly following everything after Volume 3, which, if you know anything about the OG, you know what I'm talking about. So, I think that's good if that truly is the rumors I've been hearing, if that really does turn out to be true, because so far, just from what I am seeing from this hour-long premiere that I just watched, it's so good. It is super freaking good. So, one of the things, though, that does need to be talked about is also the voice acting. Because, as I said yesterday, I made a video talking about the RWBY, you know, anime before anyone would watch it, is that, you know, would there be a dub? Now, there was supposedly supposed to be a dub that was going to release today, but it got delayed by Rooster Teeth, and so, you know, we're gonna have to wait a while for the English dub. So if we're waiting for maybe hearing the voice actors and their voices that you're normally used to, you're gonna have to wait on that. So you're gonna have to watch the Japanese sub that came out today. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it's good. Like, the Japanese sub is legitimately good. As someone that, you know, has only watched the dub, obviously, of the OG, the sub is really good, and the voice actors they picked are some really high-tier voice actors. Like, I'll tell you right now, if you have watched enough anime, you'll recognize pretty much all of the voices from all of our characters that were voiced in this episode, or the first 3 episodes of RWBY. They're really good voice actors, so just overall, do not worry about that. Okay, what's it about? Let's talk about it, because obviously there's probably a lot of you that have never watched RWBY, have no idea what it is, and obviously I'm going to keep this spoiler free. Like, I'm not going to talk about future events, I'm not going to spoil anything, I'm going to talk about strictly just the anime and how it is being done, and just the content within the episode. So I am not going to be spoiling anything, so do not worry on that regard. What is this hour-long premiere about? Well, basically it introduces the world. There is a lot of time with an hour-long premiere. There is a lot of time to really dive into the world and kind of understand what you should expect from the RWBY series. For instance, the world, to the characters, to also just maybe where the plot direction's going to go, and potential theories that you can form after watching it as well. There is a lot you can really get, like a lot. There is a lot of content jam-packed within the hour-long premiere that it's ridiculous. Like, I know anyone that is new to this series is going to have an information overload because there is a lot. There is so much going on. And even as me, as someone that has seen the OG series, I was like, man, I forgot just how much was in the early stages of the series and like revealed to you, because holy crap, Monty Oum and all the people that worked on RWBY, you know, at the beginning really put a lot of time, love, and attention into the overall world of RWBY. So I guess let's talk about the fairy tale tones. There is definitely a lot of fairy tale-like tones. I'm not talking about fairy tale as in a manga. I'm talking about fairy tales as in, like, Snow White or, Little Red Riding Hood, etc. Like, RWBY, she gives off this, presentation of, Little Red Riding Hood. The entire red robe, etc. Weiss and how she kind of reminds you of maybe, like, Snow White to a certain extent. Or, there's different, like, fairy tales you can kind of, like, attach to the characters. And then, like, the moon as well. It's very fairy tale, like, exquisite, like, it just looks like it. To the Grimm as well, kind of referencing the Brothers Grimm, the darker, fairy tales. Stuff like that. There is definitely a lot of fairy tale tones throughout RWBY's presentation. And so if you're one of those that like maybe a twist or a darker twist to fairy tales, then you're definitely going to like the overall premise of what, RWBY is about. But obviously, there's a lot more than that. Obviously, we get to see, that the world has been kind of ruined in the past, to where you had all these Grimm that overflowed and destroyed pretty much society, and eventually, after a long time of fighting, humanity and the Faunus and all of them were able to rebuild and somewhat have a kingdom that was coexisting again, and not having to worry about being completely wiped out. Time passes, you have dust that, humanity was using, you have, this aura and semblance, all these different things that were introduced, power basically, and it allowed them to be able to fight back against the Grimm. Now, the Grimm, in general, they're these manifestations of darker thoughts or evil, etc. You get to see quite a few depictions of them throughout the first 3 episodes. Like, you get to see, like, a crow shape, you get to see, like, this bestial-looking shape, and then you get to find out a little bit more of a different one, like a nightmare Grimm, which, that one is very unique, and I guess I want to talk about that. One of the big things that episode 3 tries to showcase is that the Grimm aren't necessarily just, like, easy to guess. Like, you might think that maybe they're all bestial, and that maybe they're just monsters, but you get to see how Grimm can vary from each Grimm. There's different types, etc., and that some of them have different abilities or strengths, weaknesses than others do. For instance, the Nightmare Grimm. We get to see that the Nightmare Grimm that infected John in episode 3 was relatively strong, but at the same time very weak. Because if you're someone that didn't have, let's say, a good aura or a semblance, aka basically power, the Nightmare Grimm couldn't really manifest and get strong. However, if it was to attach itself to someone with relative power, it could become exponential, like very strong. So this is a really good representation of Grimm. Basically showing that, they can be very strong and very different, and that they're not just like monsters with brute strength. They can do stuff that, can be very sneaky and shady and get into someone and really mess with them. For instance, if you didn't have the proper help, you'd probably just straight up die. So it's a very interesting presentation to Grimm that we got, and I feel like anyone that, wants to know more about the world definitely got a lot of answers, but they probably have a lot of questions as well after the first 3 episodes came out today. Now let's go a little bit further. Let's talk about the cast. So our main characters is RWBY, Blake, Yang, and Weiss. And FYI, if you didn't catch on, the first initial of all their names is literally the name of the series, RWBY. R as in RWBY, W as in Weiss, you have B as in Blake, and Y as in Yang. So all 4 of our characters basically are in the title of the show, and basically the team. And I think it's a really nice little nod, especially if you got to see the episode and you saw how the team was named after initials, like for instance, like John's team. I feel like maybe some of you probably keyed in on it if you're new, and if you didn't, well, there you go. There's more information to, for you if you didn't actually catch it. But, let's talk about, like I said, the cast. So, overall, the characters, you get to see how they have this very unique differences. Like, there's a lot of differences between the cast. Like, for instance, you know, Ruby, our main female character, she comes off more as innocent. She comes off more as, like, a child, and she's trying to be better. She's trying to be mature, but obviously she is the youngest, and she is trying to be a lot more mature than she actually is. And then you have someone like Yang. She's this older sister type character that seems to be very energetic. She's very protective as well, but at the same time she's trying to create some distance between her and her sister Ruby, because obviously she doesn't want to baby her sister and have it to where her sister is always relying on her in life. And then you have someone like Blake, which has a lot going on we get to see. For instance, she's connected to the White Fang, aka this group that is trying to go against, you know, let's say Weiss's family, or, you know, humanity in general. They're like this group that's, you know, trying to fight for certain rights, etc. And there's a lot of complicated stuff there to talk about. I'll talk about in a second. And then you obviously got stuff with Weiss, and how Weiss is this rich girl type character, but obviously she's more of an outcast or a loner potentially in her family. There's a lot of problems going on, and her family seems very disconnected, or they're always constantly butting heads. There's a lot of characterization and development you get throughout, you know, the initial episode. And I think that's really nice. We get the establishment of the characters, and I think anyone that finished the first episode, even if you're, you know, not, you know, aware of the original, you're definitely going to be aware of these characters and how they think or how they feel, and I think that was a good way to really introduce RWBY as in an anime format. So, let's talk about some of the overarching plot, what's going on, obviously. So one of the big things that's been obviously happening is the White Fang. You can kind of say at this point in time with the story, they are the central antagonist. Yes, the Grimm probably are the greater threat, especially with the way they're being built up, but overall, we could see currently at this time that the White Fang, which Blake was at one point in time working for, are definitely the essential antagonist, in dealing with them is going to be the main front and center plot point for a while. And, you know, they're going to cause a lot of problems, because obviously they're stealing dust, they're causing problems by just, you know, wreaking havoc, you know, civil unrest, and, you know, even if their motivations or what they want to do might be just, and they might want to have equal rights for, you know, the faunus, you know, the way they're going about it obviously isn't the best way. So there's, you know, a huge, like, issue going on, and obviously Blake, as a character, she's a faunus that we found out in episode 3, and she can kind of, you know, bridge the gap between humanity and the faunus, which is what the White Fang was supposed to do, but clearly it's not happening, and I feel like that's maybe Blake's role. And as for Weiss, her character is, you know, also wrapped up in it too, because her family is, you know, a part of a dust company, you know, giving out this, you know, material of dust, etc., which causes it to where, you know, she's butting heads with, you know, the faunus, or butting heads with White Fang, butting heads with Blake, and you can see that kind of take a huge spotlight throughout episode 3, and I feel like that's showing that, once again, if Weiss is able to kind of change her opinion, mature, and grow a little bit, you know, there might really be a bridge formed between the faunus, the White Fang, and also humanity. So yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of content, but I guess let's talk about the art and animation. As for art and animation, beautiful. Simply beautiful. Like, oh my goodness, it is such a beautiful presentation. Like, there's so many good action sequences that look so freaking good, and I was blown away. Like I said, I posted some clips of it on my social media, and I was just shocked with just the level of beauty. The only thing I miss, honestly, when I was watching this episode was that there wasn't the OG music. Like, I really miss the OG music, but I guess it makes sense, you know, new, etc. But I wish the OG music played, because it was really great music in the past. If you haven't heard the original, you know, OST for RWBY, I really recommend you to look it up. It's good. It's really, really good. Even the original opening songs, etc. But, yeah, just overall, initial thoughts, great. Great premiere. I need more. I absolutely need more, and I honestly hope that more people pick this series up and don't kind of sling it to the side, because it's good. This is really, really freaking good. But okay, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. If you enjoyed the video, you know, please leave me a like. It does help me out a lot. And with that, be safe, stay healthy, Chibi out.